guys, it's Miss Rogers here. Today we're going to do a lesson with division, or a review with division, okay? So when I tell you that we're going to work with division, or I want you to divide something, that just means I want you to take something and you're going to cut it up into equal groups. So you're taking a specific number and you're going to make that number go into equal groups. Okay, and remember, division is just a fancy word that means repeated subtraction. Okay, so if I look on my sheet right here, what we're going to work on today, my problem shows that it's 48 divided by 6. Okay, so that is the problem we're going to work with. So what I did, I took what was on my sheet and I just put it on my whiteboard. So it's going to be easier for us, okay? So 48 divided by 6. You should already know that 6 times 8 equals 48. So my answer would be 8. But if you don't know that automatically, let's work it out to make sure you know how to get that answer. So my problem, 48 divided by 6, I'm going to set up my problem. So you know with division, you put the big number or the first number in your problem in your division box, which is just like half of a box. A line above your number and a line going down. Okay, then you put the number that's being divided by, or the number being divided with the big number on the outside. Okay, so your problem when you set it up looks like 6 divided by your division box and then 48 in your box. The proper way to say this problem is 48 divided by 6. Okay, if you don't know automatically that the answer is 8, let's look at multiplication facts to get us that answer. I know 6 times 7 is 42. Okay? Now, the answer is less than 48, but let's see if I can get another multiplication fact that will give me closer to 48. Okay? So if 6 times 7 is 42, 6 times 8 is 48. So there's my answer. So I'm going to work with 8. So now I'm going to put the 8 above my 8 and 48 because I'm looking at both numbers because I knew that 6 couldn't go into 4. Okay, so now I'm going to multiply. 8 times 6 is 48. Okay, now I'm going to subtract, and that gives me my answer of 8. So if I look back up here at my problem, 48 divided by 6 equals 8. All right, so going back to our worksheet, it wants you to look at like specific techniques with division or different ways that you can show your answer to a division problem. So if we look at equal shares, or in this case it's talking about equal groups, what that's talking about is it wants you to take your big number, 48 right here, and it wants you to split that up into equal groups. Okay, so with this, I'm going to look at my two numbers. When I multiply them together, they gave me 48, which was the 6 and the 8. There are two ways you can do this problem to show equal groups or equal shares. Either way is fine. Both ways are correct. Do whichever way makes you more comfortable. Okay, so the two ways that you can show this is 6 equal groups of 8, or 8 equal groups of 6. Again, how I got that answer was looking at my 6 and 8. So 6 equal groups of 8, or 8 equal groups of 6. Okay, in this case, the way I'm going to work it out is the 8 equal groups of 6. So I'm going to draw my 8 groups, which is just 8 circles. Okay, and inside my circles, I'm going to put 6 dots. That represents each group having 6. Okay, so if I go back, I wanted to do 8 equal groups of 6. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 groups, and inside each group I have 6 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now if I was to go back and count this, I need to make sure I have a total of 48. So if each dot or each group has 6 dots, I can just count them all together. Ready? 6, 12, 18, that's 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, and 48. So I have a total of 48 dots. How I got these, I just counted the 6 in each group. So there are 6, then this group plus the previous group was 6. I did my multiplication facts of 6. Okay, so now we're going to look at the repeated subtraction part for division. Remember, division is just repeated subtraction. You're taking your big number in your problem and you're subtracting what you're dividing it by until you get to 0. So in this case, we're taking 48 and we're subtracting 6 each time until we get to 0. So if I set up my problem, 48, take away 6, and I start subtracting, that's 2, bring down my 4, take another group of 6 away, then take another group. I'm going to bring my 30 up here and continue taking 6 away. No, I can't do that. Take another group of 6 away. Okay, now that I'm at 0, now what you do is you go back from the very beginning and you're going to count how many times you had to subtract 6, and that will give you your answer. So if I look at 48, take away 6, that's my first one. Now I'm just going to count each time I had to take away 6. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, that shows my answer is 8. So if I took 48 and I subtracted 6 until I got to 0, I had to do that a total of 8 times, because I see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See that? Perfect. Now, if I look at my multiples, that's what it wants us to look at next, multiples. Now, remember, a multiple is just a fancy way of saying it wants you to take a number and it wants you to multiply it by another integer or another number. So in this case, we're going to look at our number 8, because that was our answer. We're going to look at 8 and look at our multiples of 8. Because that is our answer, we're looking at 8, and we want to find the multiples of 8. So, remember, a multiple is taking a number and you multiplying it by another number. So in this case, we're going to take 8 and we're going to multiply it starting with 1 all the way up to 6 to get us to our answer. So if I look right here, if I do 8 times 1, my little dot right there, if you don't know, that's just a fancy way of saying like the multiplication sign. So 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2, 16. 8 times 3, 24. 8 times 4, 32. 8 times 5, 40. And 8 times 6, 48. I know I'm going to stop at 48 right here because that's the number I started with my division problem. I started with 48, so automatically I know I'm going to stop at 48. Okay, so those are the multiples. So the multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, and 48. And how I got that, I just took 8 and multiplied numbers 1 to 6. So 8 times 1, 8 times 2, 8 times 3, 8 times 4, 8 times 5, and 8 times 6. That is what a multiple is. It's just taking your number and you're multiplying it by other numbers to get your answer. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to show you on our worksheet about division is an array. Okay, it wants you to take your answer, 48 divided by 6 equals 8, and it wants you to put it into an array. Now, to be able to do this, you need to know what an array is. Okay? An array is just a way to represent something. It's showing it to you in a different way than just your answers. It's going to show you with like a picture. Okay? So, if I look at an array, it's kind of going to be similar to our equal shares or equal groups, but it's going to be different. With the equal groups or shares, we put it into like equal groups. In an array, you're not doing that, you're putting it all together. Okay, you're going to put the whole picture together. So instead of looking at groups, I'm going to look at rows and columns. So when I think of an array, I think of rows and columns. Okay, remember a row goes left to right. A column goes up and down. Okay, so if I go back to my groups over here, 8 equal groups of 6, a way I'm going to represent that with my array is I'm going to have 8 columns and 6 rows. Okay, because it's showing 8 equal groups of 6. So when I draw this out, I'm going to draw my columns first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, there are my 8 columns, and inside each column there's going to be 8 columns, there's going to be 6 rows. So I'm going to start on the left hand side and work my way over with my rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to add those to each one. So I'm adding my 6 rows. So if I look at my array, if I was to go back and make sure I have everything, I need to make sure I have 8 columns and 8 rows. So if I look at my columns, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I need to make sure I have 6 rows. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Now, if you want to make sure you have the total of 48, you can go back and count. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 32. Oh, yeah, that's right. No, sorry, it's 30, not 32. 30, 36, 42, that's where I got that from, and 48. So I have a total of 48, which is correct. So if I go back to my sheet to make sure I have everything, I did my equal groups, I did my repeated subtraction, I did my list of multiples, and I did an array. And I figured out my answer for 48 divided by 6 was 8. So now it's time to look at our word problem. Because we're in math, we're always going to have a word problem. So if I look at my word problem, it says 65 students needed notebooks. The notebooks are sold in packs of 5. How many packs will the school need to buy so each student receives a notebook? When I look at a word problem, the first thing you need to do is pull out the important information. So it tells us the amount of students that we have, which is 65 students. And it says that the notebooks are sold in packs of 5. So that is going to be important. Okay. So it wants to know how many packs of notebooks you need so each student gets a notebook. So I'm going to set up my problem with a division problem. So I'm going to put my 65 in my division box and put 5 on the outside. When I do this, when I look at this, I know 5 goes into 6 one time because I know 5 times 1 is 5 and 5 times 2 is 10, and 10 is too much, so I need to stick with the 1. So 1 times 5 is 5. When I subtract that, I get 1. I need to bring my 5 down. And now I need to figure out how many times 5 goes into 15. Well, if I know 5 times 2 is 10, I know 5 times 3 is 15. So my 3 is going to go over my 5. 3 times 5 is 15. That is my answer. So I know the school, I'm going to put this in a complete sentence. The school needs to buy 13 packs of notebooks. How I got that? Because my answer is 13. That 13 represents packs of notebooks because that's what we were looking at. So I know my answer to my problem is 13. So the school needs to buy 13 packs of notebooks. Well, guys, I hope you liked this division review. Come back tomorrow and we'll do another review. Have a good day.